Before we begin the story, let us know where you're watching from by leaving a comment below. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the story, everyone. Maya swayed in front of the sink, wielding a soup ladle like a conductor's baton, while a very expensive piece of Japanese porcelain served as her improvised microphone. The 5-year-old Guatemalan girl was completely caught up in the moment, eyes closed, earbuds hidden beneath her long black hair, totally unaware that she was in the most prestigious kitchen in Manhattan, right in the middle of the dinner rush. "And my heart is going to explode," she belted out, holding the final note with such passion that the teacup slipped from her soapy fingers and flew in a perfect arc through the air. That was exactly when fate, with its odd sense of humor, decided it was the perfect moment for James Carter, renowned chef and owner of Etoile, to walk into the service area. The cup, as if it had a mind of its own, flew straight toward his head. With reflexes worthy of a 3 Michelin star ninja, James dodged it, but the sudden move made him slip in a puddle of water and fall flat on his back. While the cup landed perfectly on a stack of napkins, "Holy empanadas," Maya shouted, yanking out her earbuds so quickly that one dangled from her ear like a strange earring. "Mr. Carter, I didn't mean to. I didn't see you. Oh no, I killed the chef." James, known as the Lion of Gastronomy, a man who could make award-winning chefs cry with a single comment about their sauce, was now sprawled out on the wet kitchen floor, his perfectly white uniform stained with dirty water. To top it off, a piece of carrot peel had landed right on his head like a makeshift culinary beret. "Tell me, Lopez, do you try to assassinate all your bosses? Or am I just special?" he asked with surprising calm. The entire kitchen froze. The sous chefs stopped with their knives mid-air. The sommelier stopped mid-pour. Even the steam from the pot seemed to pause. Maya, pale as a clean plate, could already picture herself being deported on the spot. "You know my name," she stammered. James removed the carrot peel from his head with as much dignity as he could muster. "I know the name of everyone who works in my kitchen, especially those who turn my service area into a stage from The Voice." To the horror of everyone present who expected a public execution, James smiled and added, "By the way, I would have hit the golden buzzer." A junior sous chef dropped a stack of plates, shattering the stunned silence. James stood up, straightened his soaked uniform, and pointed at 2 cooks. "You two, clean up this mess." Then he turned to Maya, who was trembling like a pancake on a whisk. "And you, Shakira of the silverware, come with me." "Am I fired?" Maya asked, already imagining the speech she'd have to give to her Aunt Sophia's photo. "That depends on your answer to my next question," James said, guiding her out of earshot from the others. Maya swallowed hard. It felt like she'd swallowed a whole slotted spoon. James leaned in, his gaze intense. "What's wrong with my cranberry sauce? I heard you humming something about, 'This sauce needs therapy and lemon zest while washing the pans.'" "I said that?" Maya covered her face with her hands. "My brain and my mouth aren't exclusive. Sometimes they work for different companies." James crossed his arms and waited. Okay, Maya sighed. "It's just, the sauce is sad." "Yes, sad. Like a Guatemalan telenovela with no drama. Technically, it's correct, but it has no soul. It needs toasted lemon zest and a hint of nutmeg. It's like a singer who hits every note but moves no one, you know?" James opened his mouth to reply but was interrupted by a whirlwind of long legs and Italian perfume sweeping through the kitchen. Isabella Reed, his fiancée and heir to a rival restaurant chain, stopped short when she saw her fiancé soaking wet. "Oh my, did you go swimming in the sauce?" Her cat-like eyes landed on Maya, scanning her from head to toe like she was a suspicious ingredient. "And who is this wet person?" "Our acoustics expert for pots and pans," James replied with a perfectly straight face. "Lopez, aren't you going to greet my fiancé?" Maya automatically extended her soapy hand, then realized the horror and quickly pulled it back, wiping it frantically on her apron. "Very nice to meet you, ma'am. I'm Maya Lopez, the, person in charge of cleaning the culinary instruments post-operation. She does the dishes," James translated, a hint of amusement in his eyes. "Fascinating," Isabella replied with all the excitement of someone finding a cockroach in her designer handbag. James, darling, we need the quail now. Unless you'd prefer the mayor use his power to turn this restaurant into a parking lot. James nodded, slipping back into his professional demeanor. The quail will be on the table in 5 minutes. Then, turning to Maya, he added, Lopez, finish your aquatic symphony and come over to my station. I want your opinion on the sauce. My opinion? Maya's eyes widened, nearly knocking over another cup. But I'm just the dishwasher. Yes, one with an exceptional sense of taste and sound, James said, walking off. Only to add with a small smile, and quite a right hook, judging by that cup's flight. As the chef disappeared, Isabella stayed behind, blocking Maya's path back to the sink. I don't know what kind of act you're trying to pull, dear, but save your talents for the local karaoke bar and stay away from my fiancé, she said in a low voice, as sharp as a well-honed knife. Maya, who usually had the courage of a pea in confrontational situations, felt something stir inside her, perhaps the spirit of her Aunt Sophia, the legendary Guatemalan chef. I'm just here to work, Mrs. Reed, but if Chef Carter asks for my professional opinion on the acoustics of soap bubbles, who am I to refuse? Isabella narrowed her eyes. You won't last a week, little Guatemalan girl. Technically, I've already been here for 2 months, Maya replied with a smile, surprising even herself. Must be the scent of my dish soap that keeps the food critics coming back. As Isabella walked off like she was strutting down a Milan runway, Maya dashed back to her sink, leaning on it and breathing like she'd just run a marathon. Hey, Aunt Sophia, what have I gotten myself into? She whispered to the photo tucked among the cleaning supplies, an elegant woman holding a culinary award. I've caught the chef's attention faster than your plan suggested. On the small kitchen radio, the announcer declared, And now, Dreaming Sun, by Celia Cruz. Maya smiled, grabbing her mug microphone again. It's a sign, Tia. We're getting closer to finding out what really happened in this kitchen 15 years ago, and to clearing your name. Across the kitchen, James was adding toasted lemon zest and a pinch of nutmeg to his sauce, trying not to smile as the melodic voice filled the back room again. There was something refreshing, almost magical, about that clumsy, musical Guatemalan girl. What he didn't know was that Maya Lopez wasn't there just to wash dishes and sing. Her true purpose at Etoile was something he'd find out soon enough. Etoile ran like a Swiss watch after dinner, every cog turning in perfect harmony. Sous chefs cleaned their stations with surgical precision, assistants prepped ingredients for the next day, and Maya was having an intense argument with a particularly stubborn plate. You think you'll win this battle, mister? Dried sauce stain? I fought crusty tamale sauce for 5 years in Guatemala. You're no match for my brush. Scrubbing vigorously while humming a made-up version of La Carcacha aimed at stubborn stains. Maya didn't realize she had drawn a one-man audience. James Carter watched, fascinated, as the shy dishwasher transformed into a fierce commander of a dirt-fighting mission. There was something magnetic about her, as if every move was part of a perfectly choreographed routine. I think you've defeated that plate, Lopez, he said. Holy chimichanga. Maya jumped, and the plate slipped from her hands like a soap-covered frisbee, sailing through the air in a perfect arc. James stood still, watching in slow motion. What happened next felt like a scene from a disaster movie. The plate struck a stack of expensive, limited-edition Italian dishes from the Bellagio collection, ones James had imported especially for next week's charity dinner. The crash that followed could have been the soundtrack to a culinary apocalypse. Maya froze, her face paler than pastry dough, her eyes darting from the horrified faces of her co-workers to the floor, where roughly $20,000 worth of fine porcelain lay in shattered pieces. I'm dead, she whispered, already imagining life as an international fugitive, possibly changing her name to Camila and selling empanadas on some remote Caribbean beach. The kitchen, usually a whirlwind of noise, fell into a silence so deep you could hear a truffle drop. All eyes went back and forth between the broken pieces on the floor and James. Waiting for the inevitable explosion from the lion of gastronomy, Diego, the bartender and Maya's best friend, appeared at the kitchen door, drawn by the noise, and immediately knew the end of the world had arrived. Oh boy, he muttered, already mentally calculating how much it would cost to bribe an immigration officer. James walked slowly toward Maya, stepping around the shards like a predator circling its prey, his face impossibly calm, the kind of calm that comes before a tornado. "Lopez, please don't deport me," Maya begged, eyes shut. "I have an aunt who needs the money I send her, and a parrot who's very emotionally dependent." James raised one eyebrow. "You have a parrot?" "No, but I could adopt one to make my story more touching," she answered automatically, then covered her mouth. "Sorry, I say silly things when I'm nervous." To everyone's surprise, and possibly all of New York's food industry, James Carter did something completely unexpected. He laughed, not a polite chuckle, but a deep, genuine laugh that made the hanging pans vibrate. "Lopez, you're a natural disaster, a hurricane in an apron. You're not going to kill me with that sashimi knife from Japan." James shook his head, still smiling. "For your information, that knife is only for high-class fish. It would be a waste to use it on dishwashers." Then, to everyone's amazement, he walked over to a stove nearby, where a small pot was partially hidden behind a cutting board. "What's this?" he asked, lifting the lid. Maya wished she could teleport anywhere else, preferably another planet. As James uncovered her secret experiment, "It's just a silly little test, a sauce I was trying." She swallowed hard. "Back home, we cooked to chase away sadness, and breaking expensive dishes apparently made me really sad." James took a spoon and tasted the sauce, his face shifting into a professional mask that was impossible to read. The whole kitchen seemed to be holding its breath. "Who taught you to make this?" he finally asked, in an unusually soft voice. "My Aunt Sophia," Maya said. "She used to say, 'A good sauce is like a good song. It needs harmony but also a surprising note that makes you want more.'" A strange shadow crossed James's face, something between recognition and confusion. "This flavor, it's familiar." Maya's heart skipped a beat. He recognized it, she thought, trying to keep her face neutral. "Maybe because I used ingredients from your restaurant," she blurted, then stumbled over her words. "I mean, not stolen, borrowed permanently. I mean, temporarily. I'll return all the cumin I took." James came back to the moment, looking at the broken porcelain and then at Maya. "I should fire you," he said, making her visibly shrink. "I should make you pay for this porcelain, which would take about 40 years of washing dishes." The other staff members exchanged sympathetic looks. Diego was already quietly pulling money from his pocket, planning a collection to help his friend escape. "But I won't do that." The whole kitchen let out an audible sigh. "You won't?" Maya asked, confused. "No, I'm promoting you." The silence that followed was so heavy it could have been sliced, served, and earned a Michelin star. "Promoting?" Maya repeated, as if the word were in a foreign language. "To kitchen assistant," he announced, as if it were the most natural thing in the world to promote someone who had just destroyed a fortune in fine china. "Starting tomorrow, we need someone with your unique taste and musical sense." Pierre, the French sous chef, dropped his spatula in shock. "But chef, she doesn't even have formal training. And you have 4 degrees and still make a soufflé that weeps when it leaves the oven," James replied coolly. "Sometimes what we need is less technique and more heart." He turned to Maya. "Kitchen assistant. You'll work directly with me. Double your current salary." Maya opened and closed her mouth several times, like a very confused fish. "But why?" James pointed to the sauce. "Because anyone who can make a sauce like that deserves better than scrubbing other people's plates. And because," he paused, as if trying to solve a puzzle, "there's something in that sauce that reminds me of something important I've forgotten." In the corner of the kitchen, Diego watched everything with narrowed eyes. He walked over to Maya as James stepped away to give instructions about cleaning up the broken pieces. "This is really strange, my friend. He promotes the walking disaster to assistant after you nearly wrecked half the kitchen? Something doesn't smell right. And it's not the blue cheese in the fridge." Maya shrugged, still in a bit of a daze. "Maybe he hit his head when he fell yesterday. Or maybe," Diego looked around and lowered his voice, "he knows who your aunt is." A chill ran down Maya's spine. "That's impossible. He was way too young when it happened, and her name isn't on any records here. I checked. Just be careful, Maya. You came here to wash dishes and investigate, not to get close to the lion. That's playing with fire. Water, actually, she corrected, showing her wrinkled hands. But don't worry, I know exactly what I'm doing. At that very moment, James was watching the security footage on his phone, Maya washing dishes while singing. There was something captivating about her, something beyond the well-tuned voice or hidden culinary talent, something familiar and new at the same time. The chef rubbed his temple. That sauce, the taste, brought back a distant memory, a culinary ghost he couldn't quite identify. Across town, in a small apartment in Queens, an elderly woman answered the phone, smiling as she heard her niece's nervous and excited voice. "Tia Sophia, you won't believe it. I'm in. The chef promoted me to assistant after he tasted your secret sauce, but there's something strange. He said he recognized the taste." "Of course he did, Mija," said Doña Sofia with a smile full of pride and resolve. "That sauce is the secret your father stole from me 15 years ago. It's the proof we needed." Maya clutched the phone tightly, feeling the weight of the family mission. "So what now?" "Now, you're exactly where we need you." The recipe was just the beginning. The real treasure is hidden in his office, a document that proves everything. Maya swallowed hard. "I'm scared, Aunt." "Don't be. You have the best weapon. He can't take his eyes off you when you sing. Use that." At Etoile, the staff were cleaning up the last of the mess, chatting about the unexpected promotion. In all the confusion, no one noticed when James returned to taste the mysterious sauce one more time, like someone trying to recall a half-forgotten melody. Yes, there was something in that sauce. Something that brought back dark memories of his father's guilt, something dangerous and delicious at the same time, like Maya Lopez herself. Let's have a little fun with those who only read the comments. Type pizza in the comments. Only those who've read this far will get it. Now let's get back to the story. The news of Maya Lopez's promotion, the singing dishwasher, spread through Etoile like hot grease in a frying pan. In less than 24 hours, the story had been seasoned with speculation, fried in conspiracy theories, and served with a generous side of jealousy. "She must be related to him," a waitress whispered. "I heard she can hypnotize people with that voice," theorized a sous chef. "She probably has compromising photos of the chef with a spatula," suggested Pierre, still in disbelief. The truth, however, was far messier. As Maya showed on her first official day as kitchen assistant, "Watch the yolk," James shouted, horrified, as he saw Maya try to separate an egg with all the finesse of a bullfighter handling dynamite. The yolk burst in her trembling hands, dripping between her fingers like a little golden disaster. "Does this count as a deconstructed omelet?" she asked with a hopeful smile. James took a deep breath, something he'd done about 47 times in the past 2 hours. "Lopez, you need to be gentle with the egg. It's not your personal enemy." "Sorry, chef. It's just I'm nervous. My hands are used to sponges, not living things." "Eggs aren't alive, Lopez," he said. "Oh," Maya looked genuinely relieved. "That makes things easier. I thought I was committing culinary murder." James rubbed his temples, wondering briefly if his impulsive decision would bankrupt the restaurant before the week was over. But then something unexpected happened. Maya started to hum softly as she tried again, a gentle melody that seemed to calm not just her but the entire kitchen. Her movements grew smoother, almost like a graceful dance. "Come on, little one, don't be afraid of me," she whispered to the egg, as if charming it. With surprising precision, she cracked it on the edge of the bowl and perfectly separated the white from the yolk without breaking the delicate membrane. James watched the transformation, completely fascinated. "How did you do that?" Maya shrugged, looking just as surprised as he was. "I sang to it. My aunt always said, food has a soul, and it responds to music, like plants, you know. Only faster and tastier." The chef frowned, a faint memory trying to surface in his mind. "That reminds me of something my father once said about a chef who—" He stopped, shaking his head. "Never mind. Keep going with the eggs. We need the 30th of September rated for today's menu." The morning went by in a series of kitchen disasters, followed by moments of unexpected brilliance. Maya spilled vegetable broth in her shoes, cut herself 3 times, nothing serious, broke a wire whisk, and almost turned cream into butter by overbeating it. But she also made a perfect julienne while humming La Bamba, seasoned a mushroom sauce with the precision of a Swiss watchmaker, and, to everyone's surprise, calmed an argument between two sous chefs simply by improvising a funny song about them. "It's like watching a car crash that somehow turns into a piece of art," said Diego, who had wandered into the kitchen to grab some lemons, his official excuse for checking if his friend was still alive. "She's a walking mess with flashes of genius," James replied, watching Maya from across the kitchen as she cheerfully chatted with an onion before slicing it. "I've never seen anything like it." Diego narrowed his eyes, noticing how the chef was looking at his friend. "You know, chef, she might seem odd, but she's got a big heart and a sad story. Orphaned, raised by an aunt who was a chef, and lost everything." "Lost everything? How?" Diego bit his tongue, realizing he'd said too much. "Oh, you know, immigrant life, the American dream that turns into the American nightmare, the usual." James looked like he wanted to ask more, but the growing sound of sharp heels striking the kitchen floor interrupted him, like tiny hammers announcing the apocalypse. Isabella Reed walked into the kitchen like an Arctic wind, leaving everyone slightly frozen in her wake. Her red dress looked like a declaration of war among the white uniforms. "James, darling, I came to get you for lunch with the investors of..." She stopped when she saw Maya, now holding a knife far too big for her small hands. "What is that dishwasher doing with that knife? Trying to murder Italian cuisine?" James stepped in quickly, positioning himself between the two women like a referee in a fight that hadn't started yet, but promised to be bloody. "Isabella, this is Maya Lopez, my new kitchen assistant." The kitchen temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. "Your what?" "Kitchen assistant," he repeated with a calm tone that clashed with the storm of emotion on his fiancée's face. "She has an exceptional palate and an unusual approach to cooking." Isabella looked Maya up and down, like she was inspecting spoiled produce at the market. "Kitchen assistant? Her? The girl who was washing dishes? The same one who yesterday couldn't tell your Armani jacket from a dish towel?" "Well, in her defense," James said with a touch of humor, "they're both made of fabric and cover things." Isabella didn't laugh. Her gaze returned to Maya, who was smiling nervously, still holding the oversized knife like a particularly dangerous magic wand. "And what does Pierre think of this meteoric promotion?" As if summoned by the devil himself, Pierre appeared beside them, his French mustache trembling with barely contained indignation. "Madame Reed, I respect the chef's decisions, even when they seem to have been made under the influence of mushrooms not approved by the FDA." "Thank you, Pierre," James said dryly. "Your loyalty is, as always, touching." Feeling the tension rise, Maya did what she always did in uncomfortable situations. She started talking non-stop. "You know, Mrs. Reed, I'm just as surprised by this promotion as you are. I mean, yesterday I was talking to sponges, and today I'm cutting things that cost more than my rent. It's like one of those makeover stories, you know, like Cinderella, except instead of a glass slipper, I have a sauce-stained apron, and instead of a fairy godmother, I've got Diego over there, who, by the way, makes the best cocktails in town. But don't tell anyone he adds a secret powder that I think might be an illegal additive. Not that I'm accusing anyone of anything." "Lopez, breathe," James said, trying not to laugh. Isabella stepped closer to Maya, her expensive perfume invading the young woman's personal space like a conquering army. "Listen, dear. I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but I know women like you. You come in with your smiles and sad stories, pretending to be innocent while planning every move." "Actually, I'm terrible at math," Maya interrupted. "I failed it 3 times. My aunt used to say I could mess up counting rice grains." Isabella narrowed her eyes. "James might be temporarily enchanted, but I run 6 restaurants, dear. I know an opportunist when I see one." Maya swallowed hard, tasting a bitter mix of fear and growing indignation. That woman wasn't just insulting her. She was indirectly insulting her Aunt Sophia, and everything they had been through. "With all due respect, Mrs. Reed, I just want a chance to work and learn, and maybe wash fewer pans. Because my hands already have more wrinkles than an old bulldog." James took a step forward, his expression firming. "Isabella, that's enough. The decision was mine. and it's final. Lopez is now part of the creative team. Creative team? Isabella and Pierre gasped in unison. Exactly, James confirmed. In fact, I'll be having lunch here today. I need to work on the new menu with my assistant. The fire in Isabella's eyes could have easily replaced the industrial oven. James, the investors are waiting. Send my apologies. Tell them I'm in the middle of a culinary revolution. Isabella adjusted her expensive handbag under her arm, like a warrior adjusting her shield. Fine, do as you wish. You're the genius here. She turned to leave, but as she passed by Maya, her arm accidentally bumped into the sauce Maya had been preparing. The bowl teetered dangerously, threatening to spill all over the spotless floor. With reflexes that surprised even herself, Maya caught the bowl, saving the sauce but sending a good amount of it in a perfect arc that landed right on Isabella's red dress, creating a stain that oddly resembled the map of Guatemala. The silence that followed was so thick it could have been served as dessert. My Valentino dress. Isabella shrieked, staring at the stain as if Maya had just stabbed her firstborn. Technically, the sauce costs more per gram than the fabric, James remarked, unable to hold back a smile. Go ahead, laugh. James, find it amusing. But this person has been causing chaos and destruction since she got here. First your porcelain dishes, now my dress. What's next? The entire restaurant. James surprised everyone, especially Maya, by placing a protective hand on her shoulder. What's next, Isabella? Are the best reviews this restaurant has ever received. Lopez has something you can't teach. Intuition and passion. Things we've been missing lately. The look Isabella shot Maya could have frozen hell itself. You'll regret this, darling. And as for you, she pointed a perfectly manicured finger at Maya. This isn't over. After Isabella's dramatic exit, the kitchen stayed silent for a few moments, until Diego let out a low whistle. Wow, Maya, you just made an enemy more poisonous than a pufferfish. Maya leaned on the counter, suddenly pale. She's going to kill me, isn't she? With those sharp heels, she'll turn me into human stew. No one's turning anyone into stew, James replied, though he didn't sound completely convinced. Not in my kitchen, at least. Too much paperwork afterward. Maya looked at him, genuinely confused. Why are you defending me, chef? I just ruined your fiancée's dress after breaking your expensive dishes. Most bosses would have thrown me out the window by now, and we're on the 12th floor. James turned serious, his eyes locked on hers. Because when you hum while you cook, I see something I had forgotten. Joy, passion, love for what we do here. He pointed toward the sauce, still in the bowl. This sauce you made, it reminds me of something important. An unpaid debt. Maya's heart skipped a beat. She was getting closer to her goal. What kind of debt? But James had already turned away, slipping back into his usual demanding chef role. Forget it. We've got work to do. And you need to learn how to use that knife before you decapitate someone, preferably, not my fiancé. Tempting as that may be right now. The rest of the day was a whirlwind of activity. Maya learned more about cooking in the next 6 hours than she had in the last 6 months. James was a strict but patient teacher, pointing out mistakes without being harsh and quietly celebrating her small victories. What surprised the young Guatemalan woman most was that he actually listened when she suggested changes or additions to classic dishes. What if we add a touch of nutmeg here? She suggested timidly while preparing a sauce for meats. Nutmeg with red meat? Pierre looked like he was about to have a heart attack. Culinary blasphemy, but James just thought for a moment, then nodded. Try it, just a pinch. The result was so surprising that even Pierre had to admit, reluctantly, like a true Frenchman facing foreign cuisine, it's not completely terrible. At the end of the shift, while the team was cleaning their stations, James called Maya into his office. Her heart raced. She was finally going to enter the place where her aunt believed the proof they needed was hidden. The office was elegant and minimal, with shelves full of cookbooks and a few framed photos. Maya tried not to look too obvious as she scanned every inch of the space, searching for something familiar. And then she saw it. On the wall behind the desk, partly hidden by awards and certificates, was an old photograph. In it, an older man who looked a lot like James, obviously his father, was smiling beside a middle-aged Guatemalan chef, her Aunt Sophia. Maya couldn't hold back a gasp. "Do you know that woman?" James asked, noticing her reaction. She turned away, trying to hide her emotions. "No, she just looks like someone I've seen before." James looked at the photo. "She was a chef who worked for my dad, briefly, before this place became Etoile, Elena, or Sophia, something like that. I think she went back to Guatemala. And why keep her picture up?" James frowned, like he was asking himself the same question. "Me dad kept it. After he passed, I just left everything as it was." There was more to that story. Maya could feel it. But before she could ask anything else, James shifted back into professional mode. "Lopez, I want you to work with me on the new menu. We need fresh ideas, surprising flavors, something that sets Etoile apart." Maya blinked several times. "Me? But I'm just a former dishwasher who got promoted literally 12 hours ago." "Exactly. You're not stuck in old habits. You're not afraid to mix the unexpected." He paused. "Like your aunt used to do." Maya froze. "My aunt? You said she was a chef, right? That she taught you about the sauce." "Oh, right." Maya laughed nervously. "Home chef, you know. She was great with comforting Guatemalan food. Nothing fancy." James didn't look fully convinced, but didn't push. "Well, I want you to bring that spirit in here, food that tells stories, that moves people. Can you do that?" Maya swallowed hard, thinking about her situation. She was being invited to help design the menu of the man her family had sworn to take down. At the same time, it gave her access to everything she needed to uncover. Her aunt had been right. She was exactly where she needed to be. "I can try, chef." James smiled, and for the first time, Maya saw something genuinely kind in the man everyone feared. "Great. Start thinking about ideas. I want to brainstorm tomorrow." As she left the office, Maya felt the weight of what she was doing. On one side, there was her mission, her aunt's revenge, the justice that needed to be done. On the other, there was James, who didn't seem like the villain they thought, and this amazing opportunity most chefs would kill for. In the lobby, Diego was waiting for her. "Well, did you see anything?" "Yes," Maya replied, distracted. "A photo of her with his father, just like she said it would be. And the document? Not yet. I need more time." Diego studied his friend's face. "Are you sure you want to keep going with this, Maya? You seem different." "What do you mean?" "I don't know, like you're starting to actually like it here." Maya adjusted her bag on her shoulder, avoiding his eyes. "I'm just playing my part. Like we agreed. Nothing's changed." But something had changed, and as they walked home through the New York twilight, Maya couldn't stop thinking about the look on James's face when he tasted her sauce, the way he defended her from Isabella, the trust he was placing in her. For the first time since arriving at Etoile, Maya Lopez wondered if she was on the right side of this story. Across town, James Carter stared at the old photograph in his office, a question growing in his mind. There was something familiar about the new assistant, something in her eyes, in the way she talked about food, something that triggered a distant memory. Meanwhile, in her luxury apartment, Isabella Reed was making phone calls, determined to find out exactly who Maya Lopez was and what a simple Guatemalan dishwasher might be hiding. Etoile, after hours, was a completely different place. Without the rush of orders, the clatter of dishes, and the pressure of demanding guests, the kitchen felt almost like an abandoned temple, its stainless steel surfaces quietly gleaming under the emergency lights. Maya Lopez checked the time, 11:47 p.m. The night security guard would be doing his rounds downstairs, and she had exactly 18 minutes to explore James's office without interruption. "This is crazy," she muttered to herself as she entered the code she had discreetly watched James use earlier. Breaking in, spying, and possibly a federal offense, all in one Tuesday night. Aunt Sophia owes me a lot of tamales after this. The office door clicked open with barely a sound, and Maya slipped inside like a startled cat. She turned on only the small desk lamp, casting a soft golden circle of light that barely reached halfway across the room. "Okay, important document. Time to show yourself," she whispered, scanning the shelves and drawers. If I were a secret file stealing recipes from talented Guatemalan chefs, where would I hide? She started methodically going through the desk drawers. The first held only office supplies, organized with almost obsessive neatness. The second, drafts of menus and notes about suppliers. For someone known for chaotic creativity, this man is annoyingly organized, she muttered, opening the third drawer. There, she found a collection of newspaper clippings, carefully preserved in plastic sleeves. Most were about Etoile and its success, but one in particular caught her eye. It was a small note in Spanish from a Guatemalan newspaper, announcing the closure of the restaurant Sabores de Casa in New York 15 years ago, her Aunt Sophia's restaurant. Maya's heart skipped a beat. Why would James keep this? She kept searching, growing more anxious by the second. Then she noticed an old cookbook on the top shelf with a worn red cover and the title Carter Family Secrets in gold letters. Bingo, she whispered, stretching on her toes to reach it. The book was heavier than it looked, and Maya almost dropped it when she finally pulled it free. She opened it with trembling fingers, carefully flipping through the yellowed pages. What she found made her heart stop. There were recipes her aunt had described in detail: the cranberry nutmeg sauce that had become the restaurant's signature, the marinade technique for meats that made James famous, the spiced soufflé that had won 3 international awards, each one signed not by William Carter, James's father, but by Sophia Martinez, her aunt. And on the last page, almost like a final insult, a handwritten note from William. Remember, James, cooking is business. Sentiment doesn't fill restaurants. What matters is who gets the credit, not who came up with it first. Build your empire with what we have. Don't worry about the past. Maya felt her stomach turn. So it was true, she whispered, feeling a mix of triumph and nausea. He really stole everything from her. She was so focused on the discovery that she didn't hear the approaching footsteps or notice when the office door quietly opened. Find something interesting? Maya let out a muffled gasp, dropping the book with a dull thud. James Carter was leaning against the doorway, his eyes locked on her like a predator watching its prey. Chef, Maya looked around frantically, as if the universe might provide a good excuse for sneaking into his office just before midnight. Snooping around my office and going through my things? He finished for her, his voice dangerously calm. Looking for sauce recipes? She said with a smile so forced even a 5-year-old could see through it. You know how it is, acute culinary insomnia, very common problem in Guatemala. James walked into the room and closed the door behind him. Instead of calling security or yelling, as Maya had expected, he simply bent down and picked up the fallen book. You know what's funny, Lopez? He said, flipping through the book like it was familiar. I used to think it was a coincidence, your accent, the way you sing while you cook, your instinct with spices, but it's not a coincidence, is it? Maya felt her blood run cold. I don't know what you're talking about. James opened the book to a specific page, an old photo showing her Aunt Sophia, much younger, holding a baby with a little girl by her side. This is you, isn't it, with your aunt? The silence that followed was as heavy as a cast-iron pan. How did you find out? Maya finally asked, realizing there was no use denying it. I still haven't figured it out, he said, sitting down in the chair. I had my suspicions, but you just confirmed them. What I don't understand is why. Why would Sofia Martinez's niece be washing dishes in my restaurant? It was like a dam burst inside Maya. 15 years of pain, watching her aunt lose everything, hearing stories about how the Carter family didn't just steal her recipes but her dreams, came pouring out. Because your father stole everything from her. Every recipe that made this place famous. He kicked her out of her own restaurant and threatened to deport her if she tried to fight for what was rightfully hers. The words spilled from her like boiling water. She was a brilliant chef, but because she was an immigrant woman, no one believed her when she tried to tell the truth. James didn't look angry, just deeply tired. Maya, may I call you Maya now that we're no longer pretending? He didn't wait for an answer. I was just a teenager when all that happened. My father always said Sophia had been just an employee who tried to steal the family's secrets when she left to start her own place. That's not true. It was the other way around. James raised his hands in surrender. I'm starting to realize that. But you have to understand. I grew up believing his version. It was only recently, after he passed and I found this book, that I started to have doubts. That caught Maya off guard. Doubts? Why would a family recipe book have Sofia Martinez's name on almost every dish? Why would my father keep a newspaper clipping about her restaurant closing down? James ran a hand through his hair in frustration. That's when I started to question the story he told me. Maya stared at him, trying to process what she was hearing. So you didn't know? Not for sure. Not until you showed up and started cooking like Sofia Martinez's spirit had taken over the kitchen. He almost smiled. That sauce you made on your first day, I recognized it right away. It was my father's favorite, but he never could get it quite right, no matter how hard he tried. Maya felt torn, caught between loyalty to her aunt and the confusion stirred up by James's honesty. He seemed genuinely troubled by what he had discovered. What are you going to do with me now? Call the police? Deport me, like your father threatened to do to my aunt? James slowly shook his head. I'm not doing any of that. He hesitated, like he was weighing something important. In fact, I think we need to talk to your aunt. What? I want to hear her side of the story directly, and I want to find out what really happened between her and my father. Maya was about to respond when the sound of footsteps in the hallway interrupted them. They both froze, staring at the door. Quick, behind the bookshelf, James whispered, gently guiding her to a dark corner of the office. The door swung open, and a visibly irritated Isabella Reed stepped in. James, what are you doing here so late? Her eyes scanned the room, suspicious. And why do you have that old book? Couldn't sleep. Thought I'd go over some old recipes. He replied smoothly. What about you? I came back for my bracelet. I left it earlier today, she said, walking further into the room, sniffing the air like a predator. I thought I heard voices. Were you talking to someone? You probably heard me on the phone. I was leaving a voicemail for Pierre about tomorrow's prep. Isabella didn't seem convinced. She moved closer to the bookshelf, dangerously close to where Maya was curled up, trying to make herself invisible. This place feels different. It's the same office it's always been, Isabella, James said, stepping neatly between her and the shelf. Did you find your bracelet? No, she said, stepping back reluctantly. Must have left it in the car. James nodded and headed for the door. In that case, let's go. It's late, and we both need some rest. As he led her out, he cast one last meaningful glance toward the corner where Maya was hiding. 15 minutes later, when she finally felt safe enough to leave the office, Maya found a note taped to the inside doorknob. The truth is more complicated than it seems. Talk to your aunt. Bring her to the restaurant after closing tomorrow. For now, let this stay between us. Maya folded the note and slipped it into her pocket, her heart pounding so hard it felt like it might burst from her chest. What started as a simple dishwashing job had now become something far more complicated, and she wasn't sure she was ready for what came next. Absolutely not. Over my dead body. Not even if tamales started falling from the sky. Aunt Sophia crossed her arms, her posture as firm as her words. At 63, Sofia Martinez still had the commanding presence that once made her a respected chef before the scandal ruined her career. But Auntie, this is our chance to prove everything. He wants to hear your side of the story. For what? So he can laugh at the old Guatemalan lady one more time. Sofia adjusted her red-framed glasses, her eyes sparking with outrage. The Carters have laughed enough at me for one lifetime. Maya sighed and sat down at the small kitchen table in the apartment they shared. On the wall, dozens of yellowed clippings showed Sofia in her glory days, before William Carter ruined it all. James is different. He really didn't know anything, or at least he wasn't sure. He found the cookbook with your name in it, and now he's asking questions. Sofia let out a skeptical noise. Mia, you're too naive. Of course he's pretending. First he promotes you, then acts surprised when he finds out who you are. It's all a game to keep you quiet. But what if it's real? What if he really wants to make up for what his father did? Sofia finally sat down, studying her niece's face closely. Maya Lopez Martinez, I know that look. You're not just after justice now, are you? Maya looked away, suddenly fascinated by the cracks in the formica table. I don't know what you're talking about. You like him? It wasn't a question. The son of the man who destroyed our lives? I do not like him, Maya protested. Blushing deeply, I just think he deserves a chance to hear the truth. Sophia let out a long sigh. Mija, the heart is a dangerous ingredient in any recipe, especially when it's mixed with revenge. Before Maya could answer, her phone buzzed. It was a message from James. Official invite. Culinary gala tomorrow. You as my assistant. Formal attire. Important for the restaurant. Say yes. Is it him? Sophia asked, noticing the change in her niece's expression. Yes. He wants me to go to a gala tomorrow as his official assistant. A calculating gleam lit up Sophia's eyes. The annual Culinary Association gala? Everyone will be there. Critics, chefs, the press. Maya nodded. Auntie, I think we should reconsider meeting with him. Yes, Sophia agreed, surprising her niece. But not tomorrow. First, you go to that gala with your head held high, like a true Martinez. Show them all you belong in that world, just as much as they do. Maya's eyes widened. Are you crazy? I don't have anything to wear. I don't even know how to behave at events like that. I'll look like a clumsy mole among peacocks. Sophia stood up with renewed determination. Moles, dig tunnels, mija, and that's exactly what you're going to do. Dig a tunnel straight to the truth. The next day, Maya's apartment turned into an improvised beauty operations center. Diego had brought his cousin Lucia, a makeup artist from a small off-Broadway theater, and his friend Carlos, who worked at a dress rental shop in Queens. My God, woman, your hair has more knots than a fisherman's net. Lucia complained, wrestling a brush through Maya's wild hair. Did you tell him you're allergic to lobster? Diego asked for the third time. Because last time you had shellfish, your face puffed up like a party balloon. Diego, she's not going to eat anything, Carlos exclaimed, adjusting the teal dress he had smuggled out of the shop. She'll be too busy being glamorous and mysterious. Maya watched her transformation in the mirror, barely recognizing the woman emerging from the impromptu beauty session. When she was finally ready, even Aunt Sophia was speechless for a moment. Mija, you look just like your mother. It was the highest compliment she could have received. The Grand Lux Hotel sparkled like a jewel in the Manhattan night, filled with culinary celebrities and socialites, hungrier for connections than for food. Maya entered nervously, feeling like an imposter in her borrowed gown. James stood at the entrance, striking in his tuxedo, and for one awkward moment, he didn't recognize her. I'm looking for my assistant, Maya Lopez. Have you seen her? He stopped, his eyes widening comically. Lopez? Surprise, she mumbled, uncomfortable. Turns out there's a woman hiding under all that sauce and flour. James looked genuinely impressed. You look different. Different as in good, or different as in who let the dishwasher into the party? He smiled and offered his arm. Different as in stunning. Maya blushed furiously, silently thanking the generous layer of foundation Lucia had applied. The evening was going surprisingly well. Maya had discovered that, despite her lack of formal training, she knew more about food than many of the wealthy guests. Her smart comments about flavor combinations even caught the attention of a few critics. You have a remarkable palate, said an older woman, whom Maya later learned was Eleanor Stone, the most feared food critic in New York. Actually, I come from the dishwashing station, Maya replied honestly, making James choke on his champagne. To both of their surprise, Eleanor burst out laughing. Delightful. Finally, someone without pretense in this nest of vipers. Everything was going perfectly, almost too good to be true. That's when Isabella Reed walked into the room, stunning in a red dress that looked painted onto her body. Isabella moved toward them like a high-end torpedo. James, darling. Her voice was honey-laced with poison as she kissed the chef, then turned to Maya with a sharp smile. And the musical assistant. What a surprise to see you here. I invited her as my professional assistant, James explained, tense. Of course you did, Isabella purred. And what a wonderful job she's doing. James hasn't stopped talking about how inspiring you are. There was something dangerous in the way she stressed that last word. Miss Reed, I was just Isabella, please. We're practically family, aren't we? Isabella stepped closer, pretending to adjust something on Maya's dress, but actually whispering in her ear. Family of liars. Maya froze. What did she know? The moment was interrupted by the arrival of a tall man with perfectly styled gray hair and a smile as rehearsed as a Broadway number. James Carter, the man of the hour. James visibly tensed. Victor, I didn't expect to see you here. Oh, I wouldn't miss a chance to see the great James Carter showing off his new talents. Victor's eyes landed on Maya, inspecting her like a product at the market. And who is this charming young lady? Maya Lopez, my kitchen assistant. James answered dryly. Victor Steele, the man said, extending his hand, his eyes never leaving hers. Former partner of James's father, current owner of Maison Victor, and, modesty aside, the only chef who's ever made James nervous in the kitchen. Maya shook his hand, feeling something unpleasant in the touch. Nice to meet you. The pleasure's all mine, Miss Lopez. Isabella watched the exchange with calculated interest. Then, as if by accident, she spilled her glass of red wine right onto Eleanor Stone's dress as the critic was walking by. Oh, goodness! Isabella exclaimed with fake alarm. What a mess! Eleanor, known for her fiery temper, turned around in fury. Your red dress will match the wine on your face if that was on purpose. It was an accident. Isabella looked at Maya in theatrical panic. Maya, dear, you used to work in cleaning. Could you help? And before anyone could react, Isabella pushed Maya forward, making her stumble and knock over the tray of drinks a waiter was carrying. Right onto Eleanor's very expensive gown. The silence that followed was complete. Event photographers turned their lenses in unison, capturing the perfect moment of public humiliation. I am so sorry, Maya stammered, horrified. It was an accident. Eleanor looked ready to turn Maya into soup stock. You little walking disaster, look what you've done to my Valentino. James tried to step in. Eleanor, please, it was clearly an accident caused by your pet amateur, Eleanor snapped. I always knew your restaurant was going downhill, Carter, but bringing a dishwasher to an event like this is a new low. Maya felt all her insecurities and doubts about belonging in that world coming true with every word. She was about to run when something extraordinary happened. Without thinking, she began to sing not loudly, not to draw attention, but softly, an improvised apology psalm using the same melody she used to calm unruly dishes at the sink. Her voice, filled with emotion, had a raw and genuine quality that made those around her stop and listen. Forgive me for the stained dress. It was a careless mistake. It could have been avoided, but fate had its say today. The simplicity and sincerity of the improvised song took Eleanor by surprise. She looked at Maya as if she were watching a unicorn sing opera. When Maya finished, there was a stunned moment of silence before Eleanor let out a surprisingly warm laugh. Well, that's certainly the most original apology I've ever received. She adjusted her glasses, studying Maya with new interest. You're a peculiar creature, aren't you? Only when I'm nervous or happy or just existing, Maya replied. A little too honest for her own good. To everyone's surprise, Eleanor smiled. James, this assistant of yours is a breath of fresh air. Keep her close, and maybe I'll rethink that negative review I was planning. As Eleanor walked off to change clothes, Isabella looked like she'd just swallowed a lemon whole. How is this possible? She hissed at James. She was supposed to be humiliated. Maybe because, unlike some people, she has something money can't buy. Isabella, he replied coolly. Authenticity. Victor, who had been watching the scene with clinical interest, stepped closer to Maya while James argued with Isabella. Impressive, Miss Lopez, or should I say, Miss Martinez. Maya turned pale. How? I recognize that kind of talent, Victor said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. I worked with your Aunt Sophia, remember? Before William. Let's say, restructured the business. You knew my aunt? Knew her very well. I was there when it all happened, he said in a lower voice. And I can help you prove what William did." Maya felt her heart racing. "Why? Why would you help me? Let's just say I've got scores to settle with the Carters, too. William betrayed me, just like he betrayed your aunt." He slipped her a card discreetly. "Come see me tomorrow. I've got documents you'll want to see." Before she could respond, James appeared beside her again, giving Victor a cold stare. "Hope you're not trying to steal my assistant, Victor." The older chef smiled. "Just offering other opportunities. Everyone deserves to know their options." The rest of the evening passed in a blur. Maya managed to get through it without any more mishaps, but she could feel Victor watching her, his gaze full of unspoken promises. When James drove her home in his fancy car, the silence between them was thick with questions they weren't asking. "What did Victor want?" he finally asked when they pulled up in front of the modest building where Maya lived. "Nothing important," Maya lied. "Maya," James turned to face her, "Victor isn't who you think. He was my father's partner, and part of all his schemes. Whatever he promised, he said he has proof," Maya interrupted. "Documents about what happened to my aunt." James closed his eyes for a moment. "Of course he said that. He wants to hurt me, and you're the perfect way to do it. Or maybe he's the only one willing to tell the truth," Maya replied, feeling the confusion grow inside her. "How can I trust you, James? Your father ruined my aunt's life. He stole everything from her, and I'm trying to understand exactly what happened." His frustration was clear in his voice. "Why do you think I want to talk to your aunt? Why do you think I kept you around even when I knew you were hiding something? Because I'm good in the kitchen?" she said, with a sad smile. "Because there's something about you that—" He paused, clearly searching for the right words. "Something that makes me want to be better. To do what's right." The air inside the car felt charged. Maya found herself leaning toward him, like something invisible was pulling her closer. James leaned in too, his eyes fixed on her lips. A knock on the window made them jump like teenagers caught by their parents. It was Diego, holding grocery bags and wearing a mischievous smile. "Am I interrupting something?" Maya got out of the car like it was on fire, her cheeks burning. "No, we were just discussing recipes. Thank you for the ride, chef. See you tomorrow." Before James could answer, she was already inside the building, leaving him alone with a puzzled smile on his face. Inside the apartment, Aunt Sophia was waiting anxiously. "Well, how did it go?" Maya collapsed on the couch, kicked off the heels that had been torturing her, and let out a long sigh. "I met Victor Steele. He said he has proof. He wants to help us." Sophia visibly tensed. "Victor? That backstabbing snake?" She shook her head firmly. "Don't trust him, Mia. He's just as guilty as William. But Auntie, what if he really does have documents?" "The only thing Victor has is poison," Sophia said, as she sat down beside her niece. "And I can see it in your eyes. There's more." "What aren't you telling me?" Maya hesitated. "James wants to fire me," she lied, not ready to admit the confusing feelings she was starting to have for the son of the man who had ruined her family. Sophia nodded, like she was confirming something she already suspected. "See, he found out who you are, and now he wants to get rid of you before you find the proof. Or maybe he really does want to make things right," Maya said, surprising herself. "What if he's not like his father?" Sophia studied her niece for a long moment. "Mija, are you falling in love with him?" "No," Maya protested automatically. But even to her own ears, the denial sounded weak. "Maybe just a little, like a tiny ant's worth of love, not a whole elephant." Sophia let out a deep sigh. "The heart is the most dangerous ingredient in any recipe, Maya, especially when it's mixed with revenge and justice." Maya hugged her aunt, feeling the weight of the choices ahead of her. "What should I do? Tomorrow, go see Victor. Find out what he really knows," Sophia said after a long pause. "But don't trust him completely. And then, maybe it's time I faced a Carter again." Across town, James was staring at an old photo in his office, the image of Sofia Martinez smiling next to his father. He'd never noticed it before, but there was something in her eyes that reminded him of Maya, the same mix of fire and kindness. Meanwhile, in her luxurious apartment, Isabella Reed received a message from her private investigator with full information about Maya Lopez Martinez and her Aunt Sophia. A wicked smile formed on her perfect lips as she typed a message to Victor Steele. "I've got what you need on the girl. Time to finish what you started 15 years ago." Victor Steele's office at Maison Victor was exactly what Maya expected from a man like him. Flashy, cold, and carefully impressive. Awards were placed to catch the light. Photos with celebrities covered an entire wall, and the scent of old money mixed with expensive Italian cologne. "Miss Martinez, or do you prefer Lopez?" Victor motioned to a leather chair that probably cost more than Maya's entire apartment. "Coffee? Champagne? Something stronger, perhaps? Only the truth will do," Maya replied, staying on her feet. "You said you have proof about what happened to my aunt." Victor smiled, a gesture that never reached his eyes. Straight to the point. "I like that." He opened a drawer and pulled out an old folder. "You know, I was there when it all happened. I was William Carter's partner in the beginning, before he pushed me out too. So you witnessed him stealing my aunt's recipes." Victor paused dramatically. "I didn't just witness it, dear. I helped." Maya felt like the floor had dropped out from under her. "What do you mean?" "Business is business. William wanted Sophia's recipes. I wanted a bigger share. We made a deal." He shrugged, as if talking about trading cards, not destroying someone's life. "Of course, he betrayed me too. The Carters are like that. It runs in their blood. Why are you telling me this? Why help me now?" Victor stepped closer, his expensive cologne almost overwhelming. "Let's just say I have a proposal for you, Maya, one that would benefit both of us." He opened the folder, revealing old documents, original contracts signed by Sophia, William's notes on how to use her recipes, even a threatening letter warning she'd be deported if she tried to fight back. "These are the proofs we needed," Maya whispered, eyes wide. "These are the proofs I have," Victor corrected. "And I'm willing to testify against the Carters, confirm that James knew everything from the start, that he carried on his father's dirty legacy willingly." "But that's not true. James didn't know." Victor raised an eyebrow. "Are you sure? The son who worked with his father since he was 16, who inherited everything, who kept using the recipes even after rumors about their origin started. You're naive, dear, or in love. Maybe both." Maya felt her face burn. "What's your proposal?" "Simple. You bring your Aunt Sophia to a press conference I'll set up. I'll present the evidence. We ruin James Carter and Etoile. Sophia gets the recognition she deserves. I get revenge on William through his son. And you, well, I'll offer you a contract as head chef at my restaurant. Everybody wins, except James." Maya pointed out. "He's a Carter. He deserves what's coming to him." Something in Victor's cold tone sent a chill down Maya's spine. There was more to this story. She was sure of it. "I need to think about it, talk to my aunt." Of course, Victor said as he put the documents away. "But don't take too long. This offer has an expiration date." When Maya left the restaurant, her mind was spinning. The documents seemed real, but there was something deeply unsettling about Victor's proposal. Her phone rang. It was Diego. "Where are you? You need to come back to the restaurant right now. We've got a full-blown culinary disaster happening." "What happened?" "Isabella is here. She just announced her engagement to James in front of everyone." Maya felt like she'd been punched in the stomach. "Engagement?" "Yes. She showed up with a huge ring, called the press, everything. James looks like a fish out of water trying to breathe." Diego lowered his voice. "And there's more. She told the reporters that you two were having an affair and that he decided to do the right thing and stay with her." Maya's world started to spin. "I'm on my way." At Etoile, chaos roulette. Photographers, reporters, and curious guests filled the main dining room. In the center stood Isabella, glowing in a white dress, clinging to James's arm. He looked clearly uncomfortable. "Oh, here she is," Isabella exclaimed as soon as she saw Maya enter, the amazing assistant who helped James realize how much he truly loved me. The camera flashes blinded Maya for a moment as her heart sank like a collapsed souffle. James met her gaze for a split second, full of silent apologies and something else she couldn't quite read. "Let's play a little game for those who only read the comments," Type Coca-Cola in the comments. Only those who made it this far will get it. Now let's continue the story. That's when Maya made her decision. With trembling hands, she typed a message to Victor. I accept your offer. Let's reveal everything. Rain beat against the windows of the small apartment, as if the sky itself shared Maya's heartache. Sitting at the kitchen table, she stared at the documents Victor had given her, spread out like painful puzzle pieces. It's all true, murmured Aunt Sophia, adjusting her glasses as she looked over the papers. The original contract, William's notes, even the threat letter. So we can prove it? Maya asked, her stomach twisting with a mix of triumph and sorrow. Yes, we can prove it, Sophia said deeply. But the question is, should we? Maya's confused eyes met her aunt's. What do you mean? Isn't that why I came to New York, to clear your name? Sophia shifted in her chair, her tired eyes fixed on her niece. Sweetheart, when you started all this, it was just a story of villains and heroes in your mind. But now I see something different in your eyes when you talk about James Carter. Maya looked away, unable to deny it. It doesn't matter what I feel. His marrying Isabella. Maybe. Sophia rested her wrinkled hand on Maya's. But before we destroy his life, we need to be sure he deserves it. Maya's phone vibrated. It was James. We need to talk. It's not what it looks like. Come to the restaurant after closing. Please. It's him, Maya said, showing the message to her aunt. Sophia nodded thoughtfully. Go. Take the documents. Confront him directly. What if it's a trap? Then Diego will be waiting outside, ready to call immigration on us if needed. Sophia gave a sad smile. Some truths need to be said face to face, Maya. 2 hours later, Maya stepped into the quiet, empty étoile. Only a dim light came from the main kitchen. James was there alone, chopping vegetables with the precision of a surgeon. You came, he said, not looking up from the cutting board. I did, Maya replied, the documents in her bag feeling as heavy as stones. Congratulations on your engagement. James set down the knife and finally looked at her. It wasn't my idea. Isabella planned the whole thing and announced it without asking me. And that giant ring on her finger? An old gift? She turned it into an engagement ring on her own. He ran his hand through his hair, clearly frustrated. Maya, I'm not going to marry her. Something inside Maya trembled, wanting to believe. Why did you ask me to come? James stepped closer, cautiously, like someone approaching a frightened animal. Because I found something about my father, your aunt, and Victor Steele. Maya pulled the documents from her bag and spread them out on the counter. This? She challenged. James's eyes widened as he recognized the papers. Where did you get this? Victor Steele. He told me everything. How he helped your father steal my aunt's recipes. How they threatened her and ruined everything she built. James picked up one of the documents, his hand slightly shaking. He's using you, Maya. Victor is just as guilty as my father. He admitted that, unlike you, who keeps pretending to be innocent. Maya's emotional outburst echoed through the empty kitchen. James didn't back down. I was just a teenager when it all happened. By the time I started to suspect something, my father was already sick, and when I found the recipe book with her name on it, he had already passed away. And still, you kept using the stolen recipes. Because I wasn't sure. His voice rose to match hers. Not until you showed up with your voice, your talent, your way of being that made me question everything. They were close now, their breaths mixing, years of pain and secrets hanging between them like smoke. Why should I believe you? Maya asked, her voice now barely a whisper. James looked deeply into her eyes. Because I found this, he held out a folder that had been hidden under the kitchen utensils. Inside, a document revealed the full truth. Victor wasn't just an accomplice. He was the mastermind behind the plan against Sophia. Victor wanted her out from the beginning, James explained. My father was just as manipulated as your aunt was. Before Maya could process what he had just said, the kitchen door swung open. What a touching scene. Isabella's sharp voice cut through the air, the chef and his dishwasher, scheming behind the fiancée's back. The confrontation was interrupted by James's phone, vibrating insistently. When he answered, his expression shifted from shock to determination. "I understand. I'll be there." Isabella crossed her arms, impatient. "What now?" "I've just been invited to Chef's Duel," James announced, a competitive spark in his eyes. "Victor Steele challenged me, live on television. Next week." Maya swallowed hard. This wasn't a coincidence. He planned all of this. James nodded, quickly putting the documents away. "Isabella, we need to talk about this engagement, but it'll have to wait. I have a competition to prepare for." "You can't be serious," Isabella protested. "That show is watched by millions. Victor will humiliate you on national television. Not if I can help it." James turned to Maya. "I need your help." "Me?" Maya asked, as Isabella let out a mocking laugh. "Your assistant? The one plotting with Victor behind your back?" James and Maya exchanged surprised looks. "How do you know that?" Maya asked. Isabella's smile was cold. "Sweetheart, nothing happens in this city without me knowing, especially when it involves my restaurant." "Your restaurant?" James frowned. "Ours, obviously." Isabella corrected herself quickly. "James, can't you see? She and Victor are working together to destroy you." Maya stepped forward, facing Isabella for the first time. "You're involved in this too, aren't you? The accidents at the gala, the fake engagement, everything to discredit me." Isabella's eyes sparkled dangerously. "Prove it." James watched the exchange, the pieces finally falling into place. "It doesn't matter now. The challenge has been made, and I'm going to accept it." He looked at Maya. "With or without your help." 3 days passed. James threw himself into preparing for the competition, while Maya stayed away from the restaurant, torn between her loyalties. At her apartment, Aunt Sophia was packing her bags. "You're not going to help him?" she asked, folding an apron neatly. "How could I? After everything that happened." Maya stopped when she saw her aunt's expression. "What is it?" "That document James showed you, about Victor being the real villain. Do you believe him?" Maya hesitated. "Yes, and that scares me even more." Sophia gave her a soft smile. "Sweetheart, sometimes revenge doesn't heal old wounds. It only opens new ones." The phone rang. It was Diego. "Maya, James is a mess," he said. "Isabella sabotaged everything for the competition. She switched the salt with sugar, hid equipment. It's a nightmare." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because, despite everything, you two just work together in the kitchen like pasta and sauce, you know?" On the day of the competition, the studio lights lit up the stage where 2 chefs were about to face off. Victor was already in place, smiling confidently at the cameras. James, on the other hand, looked worn out, without his usual team. The host announced the rules, a full menu inspired by traditions that cross borders. The secret theme, Origins. James looked at his empty station, no assistant in sight. "Where's your team, Chef Carter?" Victor teased. "He has me." Maya's melodic voice silenced the studio. She walked confidently toward James, wearing a clean apron and a determined look in her eyes. "You came," he murmured in disbelief. "Someone has to stop you from mixing up salt and sugar," she answered with a small smile. "Besides, I know a few songs that might help with the seasoning." Behind the cameras, Isabella watched furiously, while Aunt Sophia observed everything with a proud sparkle in her eyes. The culinary battle that would decide so many fates was about to begin. The studio buzzed with electric energy, cameras gliding silently, capturing every movement, every drop of sweat, every tense glance. It felt like a battle between modern-day gladiators, only with chef's knives and gourmet ingredients as weapons. "Contestants, get ready," the host announced dramatically. "You have 90 minutes to create a full menu that represents Origins. Ready? Cook." James and Maya moved at their station with the harmony of dancers who had practiced for years, not days. He chopped, she seasoned. He flamed. She tasted a quiet culinary duet, broken only by brief whispered instructions. "I can't believe you came," James whispered as he filleted a sea bass with surgical precision. "Me neither," Maya admitted, adding fresh herbs to a simmering broth. But some truths need to come out, and this competition seems like the perfect place. Across the studio, Victor led a team of 3 assistants like a general at war, casting confident glances at the cameras and smug smiles toward the opposing team. "They look lost, don't they?" he said loudly enough for the mics to pick up. "Maybe they should ask Sofia Martinez how to make a real Guatemalan sauce." The whole studio seemed to freeze for a second. James and Maya exchanged alarmed looks. Victor was playing dirty, trying to bring everything out too soon. "He's trying to throw us off," James murmured. "Focus on the menu." Maya nodded, though her hands trembled slightly. That's when she started humming softly, a gentle melody that slowly brought her calm back. James smiled, oddly comforted by the simple tune. Meanwhile, backstage, Diego was quietly guiding Aunt Sofia to a special seat in the audience, right in James and Maya's line of sight. "Are you sure about this, Mrs. Sofia?" he asked, concerned. "Absolutely," she answered, sitting down with dignity. "It's time for the truth, Diego. All of it." Back at the stations, the competition was heating up. Victor presented technically flawless dishes: caramelized scallops in saffron sauce, a perfect risotto, lamb with an award-winning wine reduction. James and Maya responded with dishes that told stories: a ceviche blending Guatemalan and French techniques, a ragu honoring both New York and Antigua, a dessert combining surprising textures with comforting flavors. "We need something more impressive for the main course," James whispered, worried. "Something that tells the whole story." That's when Maya saw her aunt in the audience. Sofia smiled gently and made a small gesture, like adding nutmeg to a recipe. Maya's heart raced. "The secret sauce," she murmured. "The one your family stole from my aunt." "Maya, no." She touched his arm gently. "Let's remake it together, the right way, the original version, with my touch and yours, a reconciliation in the form of a sauce." As they worked on the groundbreaking sauce, Isabella quietly slipped backstage with a wicked smile. She moved toward the oven temperature controls, but Diego, already watching her closely, stepped into her path. "Looking for the restroom, Mrs. Reed? It's the other way." In the final frantic minutes, Victor, confident in his win, prepared for his final flourish. When the host came over for a quick interview, he smiled at the cameras. "This menu stands for tradition and evolution. Some chefs," he looked meaningfully at James, "don't respect the origins of recipes. They take what doesn't belong to them." The cameras caught James's somber expression and Maya's alarmed eyes. That's when Sofia Martinez stood up in the audience, catching everyone's attention. "Tell us more about respecting origins, Victor," she said, her voice, though aged, carrying the kind of authority that silenced the whole studio. "Maybe you should explain how you and William Carter stole from me, how you suggested I'd be threatened with deportation." Victor visibly paled. "Sofia, what are you doing here?" The cameras spun wildly, capturing the unexpected drama. The host, sensing television gold, moved toward Sofia. "Ma'am, would you care to explain these accusations?" Sofia walked to the center of the studio, between the 2 cooking stations. "Gladly. I'm Sofia Martinez, the real creator of the recipes that made Etoile famous." In a move that shocked everyone, James stepped away from his station and joined Sofia. "It's true," he confirmed, his face showing raw honesty. "My father stole her recipes, and I, without fully knowing, kept using them." The studio erupted in shocked whispers. Victor tried to interrupt. "He's lying. It was his idea all along." "I have documents that prove otherwise," James announced, revealing the folder he had shown Maya days earlier. Victor didn't just take part in the theft, he was the mastermind behind the whole plan. The camera zoomed in on the incriminating documents. "And I can confirm that," added Isabella, shocking everyone as she stepped out from behind the scenes. "Victor came to me weeks ago, once he found out Maya was working at Etoile. He planned all of this." The final betrayal left Victor frozen in place as the truth finally came to light in front of millions of viewers. Here it is. The poor girl was washing dishes, singing with a teacup in hand, unaware that the millionaire chef couldn't take his eyes off her. 6 months later, the fogged windows of a restaurant in the heart of Manhattan reflected colorful lights and lively silhouettes. A sleek sign above the door read "Canto y Sabor," cuisine with a story. The former étoile had been completely transformed. The decor now blended elegant French details with vibrant Guatemalan touches. Most importantly, hanging on the wall among awards and glowing reviews was a framed photo of Sofia Martinez and James Carter cutting the ribbon together at the grand opening, a silent testament to justice and reconciliation. In the kitchen, James watched as Maya plated the final dishes with the same graceful rhythm that had enchanted him that very first night. "The critics are absolutely thrilled," Diego announced, now the official bar manager and a sommelier in training. The Times critic wrote the word "sublime" 15 times in his notes. Maya blushed, adjusting the elegant sous chef uniform that still felt like an unlikely dream every morning. "It's the new sauce. Aunt Sophia fine-tuned the recipe yesterday." "No, dear," Sophia said, stepping forward with restored dignity and a spark in her eyes. "It's your song that brings flavor to every dish. It always has." James checked his watch nervously for the 10th time in 5 minutes. "Is everything ready for tonight?" he asked Diego, trying and failing to sound casual. "Everything's set, boss. The special table, the lights, the flowers, the orchestra, that ultra-rare champagne we smuggled straight from the Pope's private cellar." Diego stopped when he saw James's panic-stricken look. "I mean, yes, the basics are ready." Maya raised an eyebrow, suspicious. "You're all acting stranger than flaming ice cream. What's going on?" "Special night," James, Diego, and Sophia all said at once. Far from convincingly. "6-month anniversary of the restaurant," James added quickly. "Which just happens to fall on a Tuesday?" Maya asked, skeptical. "Anniversaries are unpredictable like that," Diego said wisely. "They show up on the most unexpected days." Before Maya could ask any more questions, James gently suggested she go rest and get ready for the evening special service. Growing more suspicious, but agreeing to play along for now, she left. The transformation of the restaurant that afternoon was remarkable. The main dining room had become a magical indoor garden, with thousands of tiny lights, like stars, fresh flowers on every surface, and, in the center, the white piano Maya occasionally played when she thought no one was listening. At 8 o'clock, wearing a midnight blue dress secretly ordered for the occasion by Sophia and Diego, Maya stepped into the restaurant and froze in the doorway. What on earth? The restaurant was full, but not with regular customers. Every familiar face from her life in New York was there, smiling at her, fellow kitchen staff, suppliers who had become friends, even her old co-workers from the dishwashing station. In the front row, seated in places of honor, were her cousin from Guatemala and the cousin's young children, dressed in their best clothes, brought in secretly for the surprise. At the center of it all stood James, flawless in a tuxedo, looking both terrified and determined. "Good evening, everyone," he began, his voice a little shaky but gaining strength. "Thank you for being here on this special night." James walked over to Maya, gently taking her hands. "They say life is made of defining moments, little choices that change everything. For me, one of those moments was when I walked into the kitchen off hours and found a dishwasher singing with such feeling that she turned an ordinary teacup into something magical." A wave of tender laughter moved through the crowd as Maya fought back the tears beginning to form. "You changed my kitchen before even touching a single pot," James went on. "You came in like a whirlwind of honesty and pure talent, turned my perfectly organized life upside down, and rebuilt it into something so much better." He led Maya to the piano, where an elegant teacup rested, the same one she had used as a microphone on that very first day, now restored and placed on a velvet cushion. "Before I ask you the most important question of my life, I have one request. One last performance, as the dishwasher." With her heart full, Maya picked up the teacup, sat at the piano, and began to play and sing not a famous song, but the simple, heartfelt melody she had made up during those long hours in the kitchen, the same one James had heard the day their lives became forever connected. As the final note faded, James knelt beside the piano, but instead of pulling out a ring box, he signaled to Diego, who brought over a covered tray, just like the ones they used to serve fancy dishes to customers. "Every great chef knows that presentation is just as important as flavor," James said, lifting the cover to reveal not only a stunning ring but a perfect miniature of the kitchen where they first met, with 2 tiny figures, one washing dishes and singing, the other watching, completely captivated. Maya Lopez Martinez, his voice now strong and steady. You came into my life to settle old scores, but instead, you created a brand new recipe, one filled with love, truth, and music. Will you marry me? Not just to fix the past, but to build a future that sounds just as beautiful as your songs? Through laughter and tears, Maya answered, yes. 1,000 times yes. Then, with her usual humor, she added, but you know I'll still be singing to the dishes, right? I wouldn't expect anything less, he replied, placing the ring on her finger as the entire restaurant erupted in applause. 3 months later, an industrial kitchen set up right on the beach in Antigua, Guatemala, buzzed with activity. James and Maya's wedding couldn't happen anywhere else but where food was being made, under the open sky, with the ocean as their witness. Aunt Sophia, glowing in her traditional Guatemalan dress, oversaw the banquet preparations with her usual confidence. Diego, the nervous best man, checked the drinks for the 20th time, making sure every glass was perfectly in place. The makeshift altar was a masterpiece. Polished kitchen utensils arranged like floral sculptures, a wooden spoon arch woven together, and, at the center, hanging like a sacred symbol of their beginning, the teacup Maya had used as a microphone. When the bride finally appeared, wearing a dress that blended Guatemalan tradition with modern elegance, James couldn't hold back his tears. She walked down the sandy aisle, softly humming, unaware of the powerful effect her voice still had on him. Their vows were full of laughter and emotion, promises of shared recipes, melodies composed together, and the commitment that no broken dish or burnt sauce would ever shake what they had built. At the end of the ceremony, as the officiant announced the kiss, James surprised everyone by pulling a wooden spoon from his jacket pocket and handing it to Maya. My baton for the conductor of my life, he said solemnly. Maya took the spoon and, raising it like a true maestro, led them into the perfect kiss, filled with love, honesty, and a touch of humor just like the one-of-a-kind recipe they had created together. As the guests celebrated late into the night with music, amazing food, and shared stories, Sophia watched the couple dancing under the stars. The best revenge, she murmured to Diego, is a life well lived. And maybe a good sauce. And a millionaire chef who can't take his eyes off her, Diego added with a wink. On the improvised dance floor, James spun Maya around, his eyes never leaving hers, just like that first day in the kitchen when a simple dishwasher sang into a teacup, not knowing the millionaire chef couldn't stop watching her.